Hey, it's me, and it's post-op day number 8 after my sleeve gastrectomy. What to tell you since the last video. I got home last night. I had my 1-week checkup, and it went well. Everything's healing well. I had 6 small incisions, and they're healing well, although I gotta say, this, like the little scabs on them are getting a little itchy and started to drive me nuts last night. You're probably not supposed to do this, but I did it. I just put a little bit of moisturizer, for those of you who don't know me, I hand make from scratch my own soaps, lotions, that kind of thing. So I know exactly what is in my lotions, and there's nothing unpronounceable or bad in there. So I put some on over where the scabs were just really itchy. And it did seem to help. I think the dryness was probably part of it. Anyway, I'm not giving that as medical advice to anybody. You're probably not supposed to do it, but the itching was driving me nuts and I didn't want to pick the scabs off. Anyway, past that, here is I have no editing skills, and again, I know the hair, it's like driving me nuts too. Finally made it out to the store yesterday and picked up some hair color, so hopefully I will not be all gray like this in another day or two when I get a chance to color it. I think I did a little bit of retail therapy without meaning to. I went into TJ Maxx with the intention of seeing if they had a cheap immersion blender or stick blender, sometimes people call them. And I walked out having spent $200 and I didn't even get the immersion blender. I did get some earrings. I'm not really like a hoop person, but like these little tiny huggy hoops. Love them. Sterling silver. They're the color of rose gold, but they're silver. And I got these and a pair of regular silver colored ones in a set for $20, and I was thrilled. I think part of it too, hey, $7 Walmart nightshirt, one size smaller than I used to always buy. No point in us being secretive now. I used to have to buy a 2X as far as anything that was going to fit the top of me, because even when I'm thinner, like even in high school when I wasn't heavy yet, I've always had broad shoulders. In fact, my jackass of a brother used to make jokes about how I could get a job with the NFL. I'm thinking it was a little bit of jealousy going on, because he was always, even though he was 4 years older than me, I could wear his hand-me-downs the next year. And like I said, I wasn't fat then. I was tall and I was muscular because I rode horses every day of my life from the time I was 10. Anyway, so I don't expect that my top is ever going to be a size 8 or even 10. Just because of the width of my shoulders, and I know that from when I was young and when I was not heavy. I just have a wide frame as far as my shoulders go. But anyway, instead of a 2X, this is just an extra large, and it fits me perfectly. It fits me, it's a nightshirt, but it fits me perfectly. It fits me like it should. So that's a good thing. Back to my totally not being tech savvy. And I know what people like to share is their stats. You know what I did? You're getting the idea. I wrote them on a notebook because I don't know how to add cool stuff on the screen after the fact. What I record as my footage as I'm doing it, that's what you guys see. That's why you never see that little blip where you go from one place to another when someone's edited out a mistake or something. You just get to see my mistakes. Anyway, so here's the stats. My highest weight ever was 255, and I got there twice over the last few years. When I decided enough was enough, I had been doing a little dieting, but I made my appointment. My first visit, I was 238. That was my first visit to the bariatric practice. The day that I went into the hospital, I was 212.8, and 1 week later, 206. So things are going well as far as I'm concerned. And, if you talk to your surgeon, I'm sure they will probably tell you the same thing. The weight you lost before the surgery, getting ready, that counts. So don't discount that. Some people forget about the fact of how much they lost before, and they only start counting their loss from the day of surgery. If you were following a diet like I was, like most people are, my surgeon, like most, pushes a minimal carb, high protein diet. And, I was doing that for like 2 months. Well, the beginning, I actually was doing it by adding way more calories because I wasn't allowed to lose weight. But once at that 25-day mark, when I got my surgical date and all the numbers were getting submitted to my insurance and I could start losing as much as I wanted, darn right, I was following that to the T. So going from 238 to 206, I'm pretty pleased. You can't really, that's almost 30 pounds. And it's going from 212.8. Now, that was on the hospital scale the morning of surgery. And I'm going to try at home not to become one of these people who gets obsessed with fractions of pounds. You can make yourself nuts that way, especially if you're weighing yourself every day or every other day. So if it's a quarter of a pound, I'm either rounding it up or down. A half I'll mention, but I don't use a digital scale at home. I have one of those like old-fashioned straight from the doctor's office with the, you slide the bar across until it balances. So that way you can check that it's perfectly balanced at 0 and you're not counting on an electronic scale, which can be inaccurate and you don't really have a way of knowing that. I like the old-fashioned mechanical doctor's office ones because you're actually slightly moving that weight back or forth if it needs to in order for it to be balanced. So I find that to be the most accurate kind of scale. I love mine, and it goes to the quarter of a pound. So I decided if it's a quarter, it's counting as the number before. If it's a half, I'll count it as the higher number until I get below the half. So you're probably, other than doctor's appointments, which I don't really think I'm going to be using those weigh-ins too much because, like most of us, when we weigh ourselves at home, I weigh myself first thing in the morning, generally just in a nightshirt or a t-shirt, and that's the most accurate weight to get. You're going to have the least fluctuation because you haven't started eating or drinking anything for the day and you're not retaining water yet for the day. So most of my doctor's appointments are in the afternoon because I live 4 hours away from my doctor. And obviously I need to be sipping fluids constantly. Like, hello, my friends, Crystal Light in various colors, flavors, and you can see I'm just about to knock off this lemonade one. So for my purposes of my sanity, I'm not really going to use those doctor's office weights. I'm going to use the weights I'm getting because I know I'm weighing myself first thing in the morning on the same scale. The doctor's office, obviously can use their weights. They are a couple pounds heavier. Like I was in the afternoon, fully dressed, I was 210 at the doctor's office. Whereas I had been drinking. It sounds like I'm talking about alcohol. No, I had not been drinking in that sense. There's none of that allowed. At least, not for a year or something. Not that I'm a big drinker anyway. But my point, I do have one, is that they're used to weighing me in the afternoon, having been eating or drinking, and fully clothed. I can't fast and then get naked in their hallway. Nobody needs to see that. And I can't afford to skip all those hours of drinking, because that's one of the things I'm finding the most challenging. And when I spoke to Dr. Fuller, the nurse practitioner who I saw for my follow-up, normally at this practice you would see your surgeon for your 1 week follow-up. My surgery was on Tuesday, so my appointment would have been on the next Monday, but Monday was Memorial Day, so they weren't there. So my appointment was Tuesday. Well, Dr. Cepeda is in surgery on Tuesdays, so I saw his nurse practitioner, Dr. Fuller, which I know I've mentioned it once before, but just in case anyone didn't see that video, I was a little confused at first. Dr. Fuller is a nurse practitioner, but she has her doctorate in nursing practice. So she is not a medical doctor, like she's not an MD, she's a nurse practitioner, but she does have her doctorate in nursing practice. So she's really awesome, and she's also so nice, and you can ask her anything. So that's who did my 1 week checkup. And like I said, I was 4 pounds heavier there than I was in the morning, because I went there from Sal's house, my friend who I was staying with the last few days. And so I had weighed myself there and knew I was 206. So I know from 6:30, whatever time I weighed myself at his house, until my appointment at 1 o'clock, between the drinking and the being dressed, made a 4 pound difference. I'm not going to make myself, like I said, nuts by trying to keep comparing which weight. And eventually, I'm only going to be going there once a month. I have an appointment in 2 weeks, then another appointment in 2 weeks. Those are basically going to be dietary phase change appointments to see if I'm ready to move on to the next phase. I am still on liquids at this point. They want me to do another 2 weeks of protein shakes and calorie-free, like Crystal Light, Diet Snapple, that kind of thing, liquids. And they want to see that I'm able to get in the amount of liquids that I need, which I'm going to tell you, it is not easy. I started out the way they set me up in the hospital. They showed me to do it was with the 1 ounce, like the medicine cups that they give you if you're in the hospital, or, you know, it kind of reminds you of like the cap that comes on a liquid medicine. They're 1 ounce cups. They gave me a dozen of them. And basically at the beginning, it was 1 ounce every 20 minutes. So a total of 3 ounces an hour was all you can get in. And then by the 4th or 5th day, they were telling me that it was okay to up it to basically to doubling that, to trying to get 6 ounces in an hour. And I did tell Dr. Fuller when I saw her yesterday that I felt like I was losing a lot of sleep because there aren't enough hours in the day to get in the amount of fluid. And she told me not to do that to myself. She said that your rest is just as important, especially in the beginning phase while you're healing. And she's like, do the best you can. And her advice was, if you need to skip the last protein shake, do that. Just have 2 for the day. That's plenty at this point. Well, you know, while my stomach is still adjusting to stuff, while there's still swelling. And believe me, there is still swelling. Because, like, looking at me straight on, you know, I may look pretty much symmetrical and the swelling's kind of lower. But if I look, like, down at myself, I can see that the left side of me kind of, like, bulges out. So I asked her about it, and she said, well, you know, that is where most of the internal surgery happened, and that is where there's going to be a lot of swelling. And she told me it's perfectly normal for it to take 2 to 3 weeks for that to go down. So, at this point, it's more important, she said, to stay hydrated, but not to the point that you're losing sleep over it. And especially now that I can, like, easily do the 6 ounces of water an hour. The protein shakes, on the other hand, are taking me a long time. Now, while I was away from home, and also if I'm in the car, anywhere that I just need the convenience, I use the ready-to-drink shakes. Before the surgery, I would have told you that the Ensure Max, which I'm going to show you too, and the Unjury were like pretty much, as far as I was concerned, same. But the Unjury is a little lighter. It's 20 grams of protein, and it's in 8.5 ounces. This sits much lighter on my new stomach. Before surgery, I can put my stats notebook down. Before surgery, I had been using these as well. Ensure Max Protein. See where it says 30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. If you're buying Ensure shakes at the store, like at a pharmacy or, Rite Aid, CVS, whatever pharmacies near you, don't do any other Ensure shake except the Max Protein, because the rest of them have a lot of carbs. So you want to make sure you get the ones that, I know I sound like a commercial here, not my intention. I just don't want anybody to be accidentally saying, oh, it's okay to drink Ensure. Most of the Ensures are not okay to drink. It is just the Max Protein that is okay to drink. Since I'm home, I'm back to being able to use, I have probably 4 or 5 different big canisters of various flavored powdered protein shakes. It is much cheaper to buy them that way. Per serving, you're paying less. It is no big deal. I just mix them up with a cup of almond milk, unsweetened, of course. I get the unsweetened vanilla almond milk, which I like. I do a cup of that, a scoop of the protein shake. Now, I am a NutriBullet fan, so I do my shakes in there. But some of them say they mix up okay in just a shaker bottle or with a spoon. Honestly, I find that the texture really is better if you do use a blender of some kind. So, like this morning, so I totally derailed this thought, I started at 10 o'clock drinking. I mixed it with the protein shake. The one downside to using something like, any of the blenders that are known for like really totally blasting up everything to the point that it is liquid, like a NutriBullet or a Ninja, they can aerate stuff a little. It can, like, you started out with a cup and a quarter of fluid and you end up with, considerably more. So I've been sipping out of my lovely Skull Mason jar. I don't know if you can see its features. It still has a good amount, probably at least 4 ounces of the, I think it's cappuccino. It's some sort of coffee flavor shake that I'm drinking. I had mentioned in one video, I think, about for people who have post-cholecystectomy syndrome, which again, that is not most people, and I know this one applies to a small number of people, but if you are one of those people, the all-liquid diet may very well make that flare up. I'll spare the details for those who don't know what it is. But it's essentially because there's so much bile still being produced, your liver doesn't know you don't need it, and you don't have a gallbladder, so it just pours through your digestive tract. And bile essentially is needed to process fat. We're not really at this stage eating any significant amount of fat or drinking any, I said fact instead of fat. We're not really drinking anything that's high fat. These shakes are designed to be all protein, low carb, low fat. So I started yesterday when I got home. On the way home, I bought a small bottle of avocado oil, and I started last night, I've started adding a teaspoon of avocado oil to my shakes, because I've been having to take that disgusting Questran powder twice a day, and it's gross. I have to mix it in with my protein shakes, and it's just gross, and it makes me feel kind of full and sick. So if adding a little bit of fat into my diet is going to give my digestive system what it needs to get back to working normally, in the absence of my gallbladder, then I'd rather have the extra, 40 calories or something per meal, and know that I'm getting some healthy fats in with what I'm eating. And again, I'm not saying to everyone else to do this. I'm just saying that in my situation, because the post-cholecystectomy syndrome, which basically consists of diarrhea because of the lack of anything that needs bile to digest it, your options is disgusting tasting medication you take twice a day that comes in a powder form that you have to drink, or adding some fat back into your diet. So I'm opting for some healthy fat put into my shakes. I'm going to run that by my dietitian when I see her in 2 weeks for my visit and let her know that's what I'm doing. But to me, it's preferable to being on an additional medication, especially one that is a real pain to take. It's not like just taking a small pill or something. What else? Other than the incisions being a little itchy, otherwise good. Although I'm telling you, don't try to do a sit-up right after you do this. I went to get off the couch when I was laying down, and you just automatically go to kind of sit up. You're kind of doing like a crunch. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Your abdominal muscles really need some time to heal. They have been cut through in numerous spots. In my case, 6. I've heard some people say they had 5 incisions for their surgery. I had 6. So give those abs a rest. They need to recover from having been sliced through and sewn back together. I want to also, again, thank my friends, Sal and Linda, who let me stay at their houses, being that I was spending a week away from home to be closer to my surgeon and my hospital that I had my surgery at. And not only were they wonderful enough to put up with me, but Sal gave me his stationary bike, which is a recumbent bike, which is exactly what someone like me who has crappy balance. That has nothing to do with the weight loss surgery. If you didn't notice it in other videos, you can't see it so much. I have a scar here. They place it kind of right in the fold of your neck so you don't see it. I had spinal cord damage. I had surgery 5 years ago for that. But as most people know, spinal cord damage does not go away. So the deficits that you have after a spinal cord injury, you're pretty much stuck with them. And one of them that I have is really bad balance. I walk like somebody who's, been hitting the cocktails. That's another reason I'm probably not a drinker. I already walk like I've been having a few, so I really don't need to add to that. So a recumbent bike is generally considered better for people with lower back or knee problems, but obviously it's also better for people with balance problems. You're not going to fall off of it. So Sal was kind enough to give me his. He, I guess, uses his treadmill and stuff and goes to, he jogs and stuff. Hey, props for that, because I never jogged. Even before my knees got bad and I could have jogged, I never jogged. So he said he wasn't using the recumbent bike, and when I asked him, could I buy it from him, being the awesome person that he is, he laughed at me and was like, Denise, it's yours. Take it. So he just saved me a bunch of money that I really did not have to spend. So I really appreciate that, because that's going to be the easiest way for me to get my exercise in. As some of you know, I live in a very rural area. There are no sidewalks. There is no gym in my town or the next several towns. It's about an hour away to get to the nearest, I think it's a Planet Fitness maybe? But it's not even a nice one. they don't have a swimming pool or a hot tub, and I am not paying to go to a gym that does not have a swimming pool or a hot tub. Yes, I live in the middle of nowhere, but I didn't grow up in the middle of nowhere. I didn't spend most of my adult life in the middle of nowhere. So, like, if I'm going to pay to go to a gym, I want it to be a nice one. Okay, enough of my snobby sounding complaints about the lack of facilities around here. I didn't mean to go off on like a tirade on that. But this way I don't have to worry about the weather. I don't have to worry about if I have a way to get there. Because at this point, Jason and I are sharing a car, and obviously he needs it to get to work every day. So there are a lot of days that I don't have a way, a ride, a car, however you want to put it. And before anyone who lives in the city asks, no, there is absolutely no public transportation out here. In fact, there are 2 taxis in my town. Not 2 taxi companies, 2 taxis. And a lot of times they're reserved in advance for people for medical transport. So it's not just like, hey, let's call a cab. You know, that doesn't work here. So really you have to have a car to get any place. And right now, like I said, we're sharing one. So for me to try to get, like, to go be a mall walker or any of the other things people do to just get some, you know, walking type program started, I really would not have an easy way to do that. So having the recumbent bike is awesome. I've already banged my leg on it probably 12 times because at the moment I just kind of shoved it in next to my bed between my dresser and my bed because I'm going to have to do so much reorganizing of the upstairs of my house it isn't even funny. I don't have the energy to do that right now, and I'm also not supposed to be lifting over 10 pounds. So Jason had carried it up the stairs and put it over here for me last night when we got home. And I'm going on probably way longer than you feel like watching and longer than I intended to. And I need to finish this because I'm supposed to try to finish it within an hour, and we're going on closer to 2 hours. Also, I've been doing this, and I had uploaded a video or 2 videos that I had taken on my phone while I was away. Although YouTube, for some reason, is suddenly saying that my videos are set to private, which, when I look in my settings, it's set to public, so I don't know why it's telling me this. I'm going to have to look into that. Obviously, I don't mean for them to be set to private, so I'm going to try to fix that. In the meantime, oh, the other thing, I know it's only 6 pounds since the surgery. The size of my hands, and yes, make fun of the big gaudy ring, it is fake. I love my real jewelry, but I also have a place in my heart for big honkin' gaudy jewelry. Like this. This is one of those Wish specials. Anyone who's ever shopped on Wish knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you pay like $3 for this ridiculously big honkin' piece of costume jewelry. But my point here, and this, which has been one of my favorite rings most of my life, I haven't been able to wear it for like the last 5 years. This one's real. This is not a fake. But my finger had gone from a size 7 to a size 8 when I got heavier. And this is like a snug size 7. So once I was a size 8, forget it. There was no way I could wear it. Generally speaking, whether I'm lighter or heavier, my index finger and middle almost looked like I was giving you the finger. Didn't mean to do that. These 2 fingers are generally 2 sizes bigger than my ring finger. So the big honker that is here, I had bought as a size 8 because I bought it once I realized that, you know, my ring finger had become a size 8, not a size 7 anymore. And last night I realized it fits on the finger that up till recently was a 10. So I'm guessing it's considerably smaller. And the one that hadn't fit in forever is fitting perfectly comfortably. Yes, my watch has gotten one hole tighter on the wristband, and some of you who don't care about jewelry are probably like, okay, enough about your jewelry. But it's not really about the jewelry. It's about the fact that even my hands are getting smaller. The ring that I've worn on my pinky for years, I mean, you can still, I don't know if you can see it, there's still an indent line in my finger from wearing this ring for years. Now, my pinky had been a size 6. When I got this ring, it was supposed to have been a size 6. Turned out it was only a 5.5. And I wore it for years, and that's why that indent is there, even though it hasn't been on that hand for a week. It started falling off, people. The 5.5 ring started falling off my hand. Now my left hand is about half a size to a size bigger than my right hand. So I moved it over to the other pinky because it makes me sad thinking I'm not going to be able to wear it. It's my favorite ring. It's a pre-night for those who are interested. It has that similar reaction to light that moonstone does. Like, it kind of gets that blue. What to us gemstone people is known as adolescence, that blue flash that goes over moonstone. Some pre-night also gets that. Anyway, I tangent again about the jewelry. You get me on a tangent on jewelry, horses, or plants so easily, it's ridiculous. Those are the 3 things I really love. Anyway, just wanted to let you know how well it's going. I'm really feeling good. I'm so happy things have gone smoothly, because I know it doesn't go that way for everybody. And I just want to tell anyone who is thinking about doing this, if you know you need to do this, if you need the tool to help you lose the weight, do it. I waited till I was 50. I should have done this 10, 15 years ago when I realized that I could not keep the weight off. And especially after 5 years ago with the spinal cord injury, I had to stop riding my horses. I had to stop taking care of my horses. Do you know how many calories you burn taking care of 3 horses? A lot. It was clearly most of my exercise for each day. Because once I stopped being able to do that, once I stopped being able to go for hikes, once I stopped being able to go for even like longer walks with the dog, the weight just piled on. And you know, you can diet, but if you're at a point where getting in a significant amount of exercise is becoming impossible, you're fighting a losing battle. And if you know you're at the point that you need help, don't let people's... I'm trying to not curse. Sometimes I can be a bit of a potty mouth. People who know me are probably thinking sometimes. I try not to do it in public. And I'm considering, even though this is mostly probably not going to be watched by too many people other than me, don't want to curse. But if you know it's time, don't listen to other people's nonsense about it being the easy way out, because believe me, there was nothing easy about getting ready for this. Recovery from major surgery is not easy. It hurts. And the diet that we're committing to sticking to for the rest of our lives is not easy. So anyone who's telling you it's the easy way out, quite frankly, is ignorant. And some people, when they hear the word ignorant, get all offended. I mean ignorant in the true sense of the word. They have not taken the time to gain any knowledge on the subject. Because anyone who does know what goes into the commitment to make this work knows there is nothing easy about it. If you don't stick to the diet afterwards, you're going to gain the weight back. So it's no magic cure for being overweight. Anyone who thinks it's that needs to do a little homework on the subject before they judge people who are having the surgery to help them start getting the weight off. It's up to us ultimately to keep the weight off and not to gain it back. So if you think it's for you, at least go talk to a bariatric doctor and their group and see if they agree. You know, talk to your primary doctor and see if he or she agrees that it's a good idea for you. You know, they know your whole medical history, what other problems you're having maybe, and they can definitely guide you in the right direction. So yeah, I wish I did this sooner, although I'm still really glad I did it. And I have chatted at you for 35 minutes, which I did not mean to do. And I'll check in again probably within the week. I will check in. I'm going to weigh myself, I think, on Tuesdays, being that my surgery was on Tuesday. So probably Tuesday will be my weigh-in days unless there's something going on that day that makes it that I miss it or whatever. So probably I'll be doing like a weekly weigh-in kind of thing. Or every 2 weeks at this point. I mentioned I've like my next 3 appointments are at 2-week intervals, and they are to see if I'm ready to advance my diet. And if I don't get drinking this Crystal Light, they're not going to advance my diet. I have to show that I'm getting all the fluids in that I need to. Have a great day. Take care of yourself and do what's good for you.